我们今天继续讨论《五灯全书》东土祖师28祖第31段 Slander three treasures. Later there was a king called Yi Jian, who was Venerable's nephew. I slandered the three treasures and often said, My ancestors, who believed in the Buddha's way, who were trapped into the evil values. Their lives were short and their lives were short too. Plus, I'm a Buddha. Why do I seek outside? The rewards of good and bad are those smart people firstly made it up. For those senior people who were respected by the former king, all will be deposed. What for her? 哪个 ？Slander。
诽谤的意思。
您觉得用哪个好？
这个有点 legal 的问题。
对 ，slander 比较正规的一个词。
要比较 legal 正规，这边可能太重了一点。
那就是 defame。
可能好一点吧，或者是你换一个名词吧。slander 这个字重了一点
对，是比较正式的一个词。
好，我们再想一下吧，往下。
Venerable heard of it, sighed that the king's rewards were shallow, was considering how to save him. Then thought of the two leaders in non-phenomenon, who was Bharati. One was Bharati, who had passed course with the king and will achieve the result. The second was Sheng, who wasn't because he didn't have dialectical eloquence, but he had no past. The second was Sheng, who wasn't because he didn't have dialectical eloquence, but he had no past course with the king. At that time, the 6 groups of disciples all were thinking, the enlightenment way is having calamity. What our master will do to stop it and help the situation. Venerable knew what the disciples were thinking, so he snapped his fingers, responding to it. The disciples heard the sound and said, this is the sound made by our master Dhammo. We should go quickly to his place for orders. So they went to Venerable place and saluted Venerable. 这个 calamity 也是一个正规的词。上回您说用 trouble 是吧？用 trouble。
对。trouble 是比较 common。
好，下一段。33段。A feather blocked the sky. Venerable said, a feather blocked the sky. Who can help to remove it for him? Sheng said, my virtues are shallow, but I dare to go. Venerable said, you are good at the dialectical debate, but not powerful enough yet. Sheng thought, my master is afraid that I see the king and promote the enlightenment ways. Then I will be famous I will be famous and block his fame. Even though the king has rewards and intelligence, I'm a monk being taught Buddha's way. Would I not defeat him? Afterwards, he secretly went to king's palace, lectured to the king the enlightenment ways and worldly joys and sufferings, human and heaven, good and bad things. The king debated with him a few times. All fit the ways. The king said, for what you are lecturing, what is the base? The Zongsheng said, just like your king managed the country, it should have its own ways. What is your base? The king said, my way is to remove all evil ways. Who will your way subdue?
这边这个广说法要哈，你这边用了一个字 enlightenment way， 可能 enlightenment way 就是说这个 Dharma way 就 Dharma 的这个 outline 或者是这个性，这个还谈不到 enlightenment， 很粗浅的，因为他去跟他谈这些东西，广说法要。
在这个五灯里边，这个 Dharma 我都翻译成了 enlightenment。就是说佛的法就是要不 awakening ways， 佛的法就是要大家 enlighten 嘛。
他这边广说法要并不谈到 enlightenment， 就是 general talk about the Buddha's theory， 很说的一般的广说法要就是很 general talk， 没有那么
OK，
去教
那就
这个什么 enlightenment 啊这些东西，他们听不进去的，知道吧？
那就 Buddha's theory， 您刚才说的。
Buddha's theory。要好一点，把它降一下级。
Buddha's theory， 行吧，先用这个。好，第35段。Venerable was in his seat, knew that Zongsheng debating failed, so told Bharati, Zongsheng didn't follow my order, secretly debated with the king. Now he will be failing soon. You should go quickly save him. Bharati said, I wish to borrow your superpower. Then saw a cloud arisen under his feet. So he went to the king and standing in front of him silently. Thereupon the king was debating with Zongsheng. Suddenly saw Bharati come riding cloud, surprised and forgot what to ask. So he asked Bharati, you who came from the sky, are you on the right side or evil side? Bharati said, I'm neither, here to correct evil. If your king's mind is right, I don't have right or evil. The king was afraid, but his arrogance was still strong. So he ordered Zongsheng out. Bharati said, if your king is right, then why did you expel a monk out? I'm not smart, but please ask me questions. The king asked angrily, what is Buddha? Bharati said, he who saw the self-nature. The king asked, have you seen your self-nature? Bharati said, I saw Buddha nature. King asked, where is the nature? Bharati said, the nature is at its usage. King said, what usage? I'm not seeing it. Bharati said, it is showing the usage. Your king doesn't see it yourself. King said, do I have it? Bharati said, if you use it, it is there. If you don't use it, you cannot see it.
你这边这个作用啊，用 usage， function 怎么样呢？
function 也好，这两个词我也想到底用哪个词比较好一点。function
比较兼容。好，这个 usage 的话，熟了一点。
就是体相用嘛。
啊，对对对。
就是说它 use 呢，就是比较俗一点，像说还有最后一句话 ，If you don't use it, you cannot see it. If you use it, it is there. 所以这样的话，就跟前面那个 use 就连上了，但是不连上也没有关系。
你后面一段可以这样用没有关系，但是你的 function 可能这个作用前面这个作用function 会好一点。function 你用这个 function 就是，你不用这个 function 就不是，对不对哈？
对，
就会比较体面一点。
那改成 function。好，下一段。King said, when it is in use, where does it appear? Bharati said, when it appears, there are right places. King said, please tell me there are right places or 8 places. 8 places. So King said, please tell me the 8 places. Bharati said words. In womb, it is body. In the world, it is human. In eyes, it is seeing. In ears, it is hearing. In nose, it is smelling. In mouth, it is talking. In hand, it is grasping. In feet, it is running. It appears everywhere and resides in one dust. Those who recognize it know it is Buddha nature. Those who don't call it spirit. 这就是很有名的那个用在8处。
对。
King heard the words, awakened, then regretted and felt sorry about the previous wrongdoing. So he asked about the principles of enlightenment ways and practiced from morning to dusk, forgetting tiredness until he was 90 years old. At that time, Zhongsheng was expelled. He went back to hide in the deep mountain, thought, I'm now more than 100 years old, was an outsider before 81 years old, and have taken refuge in the enlightenment way for 20 years. Although my nature is foolish, my practice has no flaw. Now I could not defend from the calamity, from the trouble. I'd rather die than live, then jumped off the cliff. But there was a heaven being, held him with hand and put him on the rock. He was unharmed at all. Zhongsheng said, I'm a monk, should be protecting the enlightenment ways. But I cannot stop the king's wrongdoing. So I'm giving up my life for self-blame. Which God is helping me? Please tell me so that I can still live. The God said the words, you are more than 100 years old, was wrong before 81 years old. For getting close to the Buddha, practice the enlightenment way. You have some wisdom, but are attaching to self, and never show respect to those great men. After 20 years of practice, your mind is still not silent. Smart but arrogance brought you to this point. The unrespect from the king is also the past cause. If you will not lax and arrogance, then you will get great wisdom. All sins are like this, the same as that's coming.
这个翻译里面尽量不要用 God 这个字，好不好？
OK， 那就是 heaven being。
对啊。不要让人家产生联想。啊，他们的 God 跑到我变成我们的佛了。
嗯。好，改了。
有好几个 God 在这边了，你要把这几个 God 通通要去掉。
有2个吧，改掉了。Zhongshen heard the words, very happy, so was practicing on the rocks. The king asked Bharati, "You are wise and good at dialectical eloquence. Who is your master?" Bharati said, "I'm a monk in the Sorrow Temple. Usobo is my teacher. My Superman master is your uncle Bodhidharma." The king heard a venerable name, was shocked for a while, then asked, "I'm so ashamed to succeed the throne. I've been doing wrong deeds against perfect ways, forgot my respected uncle." So he called in his close attendants and sent them to welcome Venerable. Venerable then came with the attendants and showed the king his past wrongdoings. The king heard the admonishing and guidance, thanked Venerable with tears. The king also ordered Zhongshen to come back. A minister said, "Zhongshen jumped off the cliff after kicked out from the palace. He's dead now." The king told the Venerable, "The death of Zhongshen is because of me. How to use compassion to avoid such guilt?" Venerable said, "Zhongshen is in silence on the rocks. Just send your servant, he will come." The king sent his servant to the mountain and saw Zhongshen was in Chanding. Zhongshen got the call and said, "I'm so sorry for king, as I have sworn staying in the mountain. But the kingdom has virtuous people as many as forest. Bodhidharma is king's uncle and is the master of the 6 groups. Bharati is like a dragon and elephant of the enlightened way. I hope your king can respect and make offerings to those 2 grand men, so to bring rewards to your king's throne." The servant came back and said Zhongshen didn't want to come. Venerable told the king, "Do you know how to bring Zhongshen?" King said, "No." Venerable said, "He didn't come by your first invitation, but he will surely come if you invite him again." After a while, the servant came back and it is as Venerable said.
这个不能用 invitation 吧？
Order or ask.
Ask 可能好，中性一点。Invitation 的话，有一点太礼貌啊。 这个 order 呢又太强了 ，ask 的话就中性一点。
好，来了。Venerable said goodbye to king. You should diligently practice your rewards. You will be ill soon. I'm leaving now. Some days later, the king was sick. Doctors treated him, but his sickness was getting worse. His close servant recalled what the Venerable said, so sent a messenger to ask Venerable. The king is ill and dying. Please be compassionate. What is the word? And come back to treat him. Passionate. Compassionate. Venerable come back and visit the king. Zhongshen was called by the king again and left the mountain. Parvati also come for visiting the king and asked Venerable what to do to cure the king. Venerable asked Prince to confess and give for the king. Make offerings for the king and made offerings for the king. And make offerings to 3 treasures. And repent for the king and prayed for any guilt to go away. After a while, the king's illness was getting better. Venerable was thinking that it's time to go to China, so said goodbye to his master's pagoda. Then it's the pagoda, stupa. Then his practice mate and went to king's palace, comforted and encouraged him and said, you should diligently practice good deeds, protect the 3 treasures. I'm not going to go too long and will be back in 9 years. The king heard what the Venerable said, cried out with tears, said, what's wrong with this kingdom? What is good about that country? Not that uncle has reason to go there and cannot stop it. Only, please do not forget your motherland. Come back early when finished your business.
When finish your business, the business 不太有 mission 吧？你的
mission， mission 好，mission 好，谢谢老师。
完成他的使命的时候回来啊。
对。好。The king prepared a big boat and put in lots of treasures, sent off Venerable on the beach with his ministers. Venerable rowed the boat, sailed many seas. For 3 years, arrived at Guangzhou, Nanhai County. It was Liang Dynasty, Putong first year, Ganzi year, West calendar year 520. 9 months. 24th day. Guangzhou governor Xiao Ang welcomed him as the host and reported to Liang Wu Emperor, who sent his messenger to welcome Venerable, and they arrived at Jinling on October 1st. Emperor asked Venerable, since I have been in the throne, I have been built temples, transcribed scriptures, and made offerings to monks. The numbers are immeasurable. what virtues I have? Venerable said, there's no virtues. Emperor said, why there's no virtues? Venerable said, those are just heaven human small results. Process that leaks, just like shadow following the body. Shadow following the body. It seems there is something. There is actually nothing real.
我们这个功德是不是翻成 mirror， 还是翻成 virtual？ 这个
功德是 virtue， 福德是 mirror。我是这么翻的，因为有地方是福德，有地方是功德。您说呢？
都不上课啊。这个再查一下好不好？看看我们这个功德好像功德跟福德的翻译不太一样。我记得以前我们是翻 mirrors 吧
？mirrors 也可以，那以后都用 mirrors。
不知道他们其他你是那个海燕在不在？海燕都不在。
海燕好像不在。
啊，查一下看看我们以前字典是不是有这个功德的翻译，好不好？
对，
把它统一一下啊。
我所有的翻译都是功德是 virtue， 福德是 mirrors。
什么？
功德是 virtues， 福德是 mirrors， 改过来也没有关系。
我查一下，好不好啊？
好，下一段54段。Emperor said, "What is real merit?" Merit. Wonderful said, "The pure wisdom is wonderful and complete. Its self-nature is calm. Such a virtue cannot be sought after in the world." Or such merit. Emperor asked again, "What is the truth and its first principle?" Venerable said, "There's no truth."
意义啊，一个 first principle 啊。
或者说 ultimate principle。
对，可能会好一点，让人家会误解你有第一就有第二，就有第二就有第三。当然，我们讲第一谛是讲说最后的、最终的这个法义嘛，是吧？
好，那改成 ultimate。
对，可能不会让人家误解，好不好？
好，下面一段。Emperor asked, "Who is standing in front of me?" Venerable said, "I don't know." I don't know 可能翻译错了，因为不识，不识不是不知。那天我查了知认和识，认是 know， 识是不是 know， 神是 perceive 啊？
不是，就是他不承认他嘛。
您说怎么翻？
他是个梁武帝说，这个对阵是谁？就是你的对面是谁嘛，对不对？那个达摩祖师说不是，这个不是的话是他不承认他，不 recognize 他是还是怎么样？
皇帝说对阵者谁？皇帝说我对面的是谁？就说你是谁？那个达摩说不识。说他不是，他不说，没有说不认， 也没有说不知，说它是不识。识的意思就是 perceive，
不执着它。
对，就是 I don't perceive self。
对，就是我不执着自己。
对，所以我觉得我们原来的那个其他可能解释都有点问题，不是不知道，他当然知道自己是谁，但他不执着自己。
不执着他自己是谁，是不是这个意思？
对，
对，这个就比较合理了。
所以我觉得翻译我是 I don't perceive self。
可以。
OK，
往下。
好。Emperor didn't awaken. Venerable knew his disposition didn't fit. On the day 19th of the same month, Venerable went back to River North. November 23rd arrived at Luoyang. It was Wei Dynasty Xiaoming Emperor Zhengguang first year, West calendar 520. Venerable stayed at the Sheng Shaolin Temple, sits there facing the wall, silently for days after day. People didn't know what was going on, so called him wall-facing Brahmin.
这个 disposition， 这个机，这个气机啊，这个机啊，你这个用 disposition，
知机不气 ，new 知机不气。
这个机是讲禅机啊，
那就禅吧。
这也不能用禅。
就 CHAN。Venerable knew the Chan didn't fit.
Response， 这边只能用通常的这个 response 或者是反应嘛。
So he didn't。
他不能够领悟这个禅机嘛。Don't awaken， 这个 awaken 也用的不太妥当。Don't emperor 不悟。awaken 还可以用。那 disposition 呢，可能就是换一个字。
Knew he didn't respond well to Chan. 这样 Emperor didn't awaken. Venerable knew he didn't respond well to Chan.
Well, Chan. Response his Chan well.
哦，也行。He didn't respond his Chan well.
啊
，OK。
是 well 禅，是禅 well。
Respond the Chan well. OK。OK. Venerable knew he did not respond the Chan well.
啊，这样就比较妥当一点。
好，成绩。好，谢谢老师。下一段。At that time, there was a monk called Sheng who had a breadth of mind and lived in Liluo for a long time. Liluo. He had read lots of books and had been good at talking about truth, but always sighed. Confucius and Laozi's teachings are about behaviors. 易经 and Zhuang's books have not reached the truth boundary. I have recently heard about Bodhidharma, a great man, who stays in Shaolin Temple, which is not far away. I should go visit. He then went to there.
来，他这边有一个，你这边最后一句话没有翻出来啊。最后一句话没有翻出来啊。
最后一句话是啥？
晨曦参晨。
来往彼，晨曦参晨。He then went there.
他不是 went there， 他是早上晚上都在跟着他一起参禅，叫晨曦参晨。
Oh. And practice Chan with and practice Chan day and night.
Yeah， 他这边讲的，跟着达摩一起晨曦参晨嘛。
Okay. With venerable. Okay. He then went to there and practice Chan day and night with venerable.
Yeah.
晨曦呢就是不是 day and night， 是 morning and evening。
对，早上晚上晨曦参禅嘛。
或 dawn and dusk， 比较美一点。好，谢谢老师。Venerable was sitting there facing the wall, not talking at all. Sheng thought, in the past, people sought after Tao by breaking bones to take the marrow, taking their own blood to give hungry people, spreading hairs to cover the mud, jumping off a cliff to feed lions. The past people did this. Who am I? It was December night, a night. It had heavy snows. Sheng was standing there without moving. When it was down, the snow was above his knees. Venerable pitied him and asked, "You are standing in the snow for a long time. What do you want?" Sheng was sad with tears and said, "I only wish Venerable be compassionate, open the sweet dew door, liberate all beings."
甘露门啊，翻成 sweet dew door， 这个感觉熟了一点，好不好？是不是啊？
甘露门这个大般若经课里面都有佛的甘露门，我觉得直翻也挺美 ，sweet dew， 因为在功夫里边是有这个 sweet dew 的。
还以为到餐馆了，叫杯这个叫杯果汁。那换一个稍微严肃一点。
如果不用 sweet dew， 那就是意义了。
啊 ，open 的禅 door 也可以，禅门嘛。禅门也可以，或者是这个佛法的门，修行的门，或者什么样？禅
吧，因为我们这个五灯都是禅嘛。
对 ，open
禅
door。OK。
这个 door 可不可以改成 portal 也行啊？我觉得我那天想了半天，我觉得这个 door 这个门呢，其实像三摩地门什么各种门呢，佛经里的门应该是个 portal。什么样一个 portal 呢？就是从世间法到出世间法的 portal。
是什么
？portal。
什么拼
？P-O-R-T-A-L。
P-U-R-P-L。
P-O-R-T-A-L。portal。就是一个传送门。 door 也可以了，一样。
一般都是用 gate， 很少用 door。
door gate 也可以 ，gate door。portal 比较有点意境。好，谢谢老师。下一个。Venerable said, "All Buddhas unsurpassed, wonderful enlightened ways are obtained from eons diligently practicing the hard works and enduring the unendurable. How could you hope to get it from small virtue and wisdom and arrogance and by useless hard working?" Sheng heard what Venerable said, took out his knife and cut off his left arm, put it in front of Venerable. Venerable then knew he is the lineage successor and said, "When all Buddhas were seeking the ways, they forgot their body for enlightening. Today, you cut off your arm in front of me. It can be called seeking." Venerable so changed his name to Huike. Huike said, "The enlightenment seal from all Buddhas, can I hear it?" Venerable said, "All Buddhas' enlightenment seal cannot be obtained from others."
不从人德，不是from others。诸佛法印。
我这个理解，它是自悟嘛，诸法印你要自悟，从别人那得不到。
OK， 好，往下。
Huike said, "My mind is not at ease. I'm asking a master to make me in peace." Venerable said, "Give me your mind. I will put it in peace." Huike said after a long time, "I have been searching for my mind, but cannot obtain it." Venerable said, "I have finished putting your mind in peace." Putting your mind in peace.
这个将心来与汝安。
Give me your mind, I will put it in peace.
我的想法是 take your mind, I'll settle it.
您再说一遍。
Take your mind, I'll settle it.
哦，挺好。那还是 give me your mind。
将心来也可以 ，give me your mind, take your mind， 把你心拿来 ，give 跟 take 比较 strong。
Take your mind to me， 或者 take 这个有个东西啊，或者说 I take your mind。如果我 take，
我的意思就是抓到你的心，我来 settle 它。
Give me your mind, I will settle it.
这个比 in peace 要 strong， 对不对哈？
对。
很有自信。
好，谢谢老师。After 9 years, Venerable wanted to go back to India and ask his disciples, "It is time for me to go. Each of you speak out what you have obtained. 老师，今天到这里吧。
好，
下面是用另外一段引完了。
下一次了。好，谢谢。
好，谢谢老师，谢谢大家。
休息几分钟，然后我再重新开始啊。